All right, everybody, what's going on? How's everybody doing? Back here for another Wednesday night live stream. I gotta tell you, I'm really happy that we did the live stream last night too. I gotta say, I'm really happy that we're starting to switch back to the Tuesday and Wednesday at night. I just I think we get better engagement at night. If I'm being honest with you, I think these later afternoon nightly live streams, more people are able to hop on after after school, after work, after dinner, whatever you have going on. We love our morning shows. We're still going to do one tomorrow at 8 a.m. We still got one on Mondays at 8 a.m. But I'm really digging these nightly shows, and we're happy that you guys are here. Happy we got one under our belt last night. Had some great discussion, great engagement, a lot of viewers, and we couldn't be more excited and more happy about that. But we're excited for tonight, too. Let's see what tonight brings us. Just kind of what kind of discussion we're going to have, previewing week 2, answering your questions, your comments, and I can tell you guys next week we will have our call-in show back in action. So really excited about that, to finally sync up the phones, get some call-ins, and we can do more across the board. Won't be every day, but we'll have more call-ins, and we're really excited about that. But quick shout-outs. Let's give them out. Robert Sharpton, good to see you. We were here last night. Great discussion with you, hyping up the crowd in the chat. Happy you're here, and let's just say, I'm really tired from football. Hey, man, I feel that. Definitely feel that. Scotty B, the Baylor King, one of the most loyal viewers we got here. Cyclone Mitch, what's going on? Long time no see for sure. It's been a while, man. Hope you're doing well. Hope the season's going well. I need to shoot you over a DM on Twitter here pretty soon. We got to catch up, but hope things are going well. Congrats on the big win for Iowa State. Obviously, this Saturday's gonna be a lot bigger. You'll have a pretty good chance, though. I'll give you that. Iowa looked god-awful. So what's going on, Cyclone Mitch? Good to have you here. CCD, what's going on? We got Flo back on the chat. Good to see you. George Stice, it's been a while since we've seen you. Happy to have you here, too. And everybody else that might be joining later on, we'll give you your shout-outs or checking us out later on. I mean, sometimes with these live streams, you're not able to hop on live, and that's okay. You can catch us later on. That's kind of the beauty of these things. So good to have all of you. Mike Myrick, good to see you too. What's going on? Big win for the Noles, man. Noles are turning a corner under Mike Norvell. I think that hashtag is definitely very, very fitting. Mike got us 100%. He's got you at 2-0 right now. I can tell you that. What a win over LSU, guys. That Sunday game was unbelievable. So Mike, good to have you, man. Graham Brooks, what's going on, man? Good to have you. Love that comment. Base podcast gets the 100 out there. Good to have you. Diehard Clemson fan and diehard Gridiron Expert viewer. And we appreciate you and all your support. All right, I want to answer the trivia question before we dive into things because it might kind of lead into something we want to talk about, kind of issuing into the Week 2 preview. There have been 5 teams since 2014, guys, that have not been ranked in the AP poll. I've got a list here of the highest ranking from every Power 5 team, the highest ranking since 2014. So obviously, we've had multiple number ones, Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, LSU, Georgia, Florida State, Mississippi State. All of those teams have been number 1 in the AP poll since 2014 at some point. 5 teams have never been ranked during that span. And let's see, Ryan Mell, good to see you. Been a while since we've had you. He says Kansas, that is correct. Vanderbilt, that is correct. Illinois, correct. Oregon State, boom, and Rutgers, boom. He got it. Ryan Mell nailed the trivia question. I wish we had a prize to give you, but unfortunately we do not. But yes, those are 5 teams that have not been ranked. Oregon State, Illinois, Rutgers, Vanderbilt, and Kansas. And I think Vanderbilt, Kansas, not that big of a surprise for many. Some might say, and Rutgers even for that matter, has struggled since 2014. Illinois, Oregon State have had a couple decent years during that span. Not many, but decent. But not nearly enough to be ranked as a top 25 team. We got the Uncle Lou on the chat. What's going on, Uncle Lou? It's been a while, man. I hope you're doing well. Obviously, I think we all know Uncle Lou, man. He's a freaking YouTube celebrity, I think, at this point. So, hope you're doing well, man. Always love checking out your content. I love all the videos and love the rants and just the analysis. It's always a bunch of fun over there. So good to have you here, even if only for a little bit. Long time no see. But leading into that, guys, you got your 5 teams that we just mentioned that haven't been ranked since 2014. How does that lead into what we were going to talk about? Well, not that it's one of the biggest marquee matchups of the weekend, right? But But I want to talk about Vanderbilt and Wake Forest for a second. And we're going to answer all your questions. We're going to take all your comments. Don't worry. We're going to hook you up. But that's going to be one of the first games we talk about tonight. You look at Vanderbilt and Wake Forest. Why is that a big storyline? Well, everybody's riding the Vandy train. And here's the thing. I'm telling you this now. If Vanderbilt upsets a top 25 Wake Forest team on Saturday. Remember, Sam Hartman does return for Wake Forest, but he hasn't played football since like August. Had that blood clot issue. Luckily, they were able to go in there, remove that. No other issues, so he's back playing football now. But you look at Sam Hartman, you go, hey, it's great he's back, but is he going to be fully healthy? Is he going to be playing to the standard and the level that we saw him playing last year? At least right out of the gate, right? But here's the thing. I'm just telling you right now, if Vanderbilt wins that game in Nashville on Saturday, all the tweets and all the social media pages, there are going to be a lot of people that legitimately believe that Vanderbilt should be ranked. A lot of them will believe that. Just wait for it. If Vanderbilt beats a top 25 team, it would be huge for Clark Lea's program, and it is feasible. It's a less than 2 touchdown spread. Mike Wright has been playing unbelievable. It's been very, very impressive. It's been very impressive for Vanderbilt in their fast start, but they're far from a top 25 team. I mean, come on. So it's interesting there. Kansas is far from reaching that mark. Rutgers, if they keep up their fast start, would require them to win the next few games. But if they start 4-5-0, they might be getting some votes. Could slip in there. They could easily beat Iowa. They could easily beat Nebraska. And I say easily because neither of those teams are very good. And Rutgers gets both of them at home. So watch out for that. But Vandy and Wake Forest is going to be one of the more intriguing games of Week 2. But just wait. If the Commodores do win the game, social media is going to blow up saying rank Vandy, rank the Commodores. And obviously it's going to be far from that point. I think out of those 5 teams that we have talked about, I think Oregon State has the best chance of cracking the top 25 first out of those 5 teams that we mentioned. Beat Boise State and obviously have a chance to take down Fresno State on Saturday night. But we actually are picking Fresno State in that game. So, real quick, want to give some shout-outs again. We got Dave back here on the chat. My man Dave, a real man, can pull off the pink polo. We go back and forth between the suits and the ties and the polos and things like that. Main videos, like to dress up. Live streams, hit or miss. Today, we were running back from dinner. We got to throw on a polo and come on here and do some chats, do some live streams. But I appreciate you, Dave, and all your support. We got CCD, got Ryan Mells. We talked about Mark TR. What's going on? We'll talk about Miami here for sure. 100%. Robert Sharpton, the Uncle Lou, said he's probably out of here. Said he's bolting. He knows I'm an Arkansas fan. Come on now. We all know Uncle Lou's Georgia. We know Mark Rogers is Ohio State. I'm over here at Arkansas. That's the beauty of all we got. I know SG1. He's Auburn. So we've got guys across the board all over the country that are supporting different teams. And we got Golden Blue dude. He's West Virginia clearly. So it's one thing that comes down to these YouTubers, right? It's one of those things where, depending on the structure of your channel, you can. I think it's important that we all know who each other supports. I think it's important that we know, who I support, who you support, guys like that. But obviously, we never let our bias in for any of our picks or predictions, and you can attest to that because Arkansas, of all the teams, has gone through some rough patches these last few years. And we've never been one of those guys to be like, well, this is our year. This is our year. We're going to go 9, 10, 11 wins. We're going to be, we like to look at things objectively. So, yeah. But, yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. Again, Mark TR was going on. We got Flobe here. Cyclone Mitch, hot take. Texas covers on Saturday. 20-point underdogs at home. Not sure. Could be possible. Max Todd back for another night. What's going on, Max? Welcome him back to the family. Max just joined the family, just joined the GE Nation last night. Had a great discussion with him and had a big warm welcome from all of you. So Max, super pumped to have you back and ready to talk some more football. Thanks for being here. Let's see, Austin Pruitt is here. Love that. Justin Shinko is here. Rob Youngson. Awesome. I love it. I'm loving it. Good to have all of you here tonight as we get ready for another Wednesday night live stream and taking as many questions and comments and discussions as possible. Wow, hey Dave, holy cow, thank you very much, Dave, kicking off the night with a big time live stream. and a big time super chat. And I love the comment. He goes, Uncle Lou, you're nice, you're good, but you can't provide the analysis like GE. So Dave, appreciate you, man. You've been coming through clutch every single live stream. You and Cash Money last night were single-handedly pumping it. Max contributed as well. All of you guys, it goes a long, long way. Again, when it comes to that, which I guess now of all times is a good time to do a little shameless plug, right? Super chat, guys, always on, as we always hype it up. Every single dollar amount counts. Doesn't matter what your super chat value is. All of that is funneled right back in here to the channel, and we appreciate anything that you guys can give, because again, with this being the full-time gig, we want to bring you as much content as possible, and the super chat helps support that. Same thing can be said for our expert picks over on our website, guys. Down in the description below, thegridironexpert.com, we got our expert picks, beating out over 80% of the national analysts. You really can't get that much better than that, guys. 80% of the national analysts we're taking down. And right now we're on pace to do that again. Over 60% of our bets each of the last 2 weeks. We have been hitting. Take advantage of it, guys. We just put out our new picks today. We have our week 2 college football picks out there. We have our NFL spread picks out there because the NFL season starts tomorrow. We'll be talking about that tomorrow morning on our live stream. And then the last thing we want to do, guys, again, expert picks. If we get to 100 sales this year, we have a big, big announcement coming for that if we can get to 100 sales. And expert picks subscription. So help us out with that. And then prize picks. Don't miss out on prize picks, guys. It's our new partner here on the channel. If you use our promo code GRIDIRON or use our link down in the description below, all you need to bet is $10. $10 fee, and it helps us out tremendously. We get a major cut of what prize picks makes just for you guys using Gridiron. Just for using that promo code GRIDIRON over on Prize Picks. So help us out. Go sign up for that today. You can win money through that. You can win money through the expert picks. You get a major return on your investment. Helps us out. So, good to see everybody here again. Dave, pink shirt, pink super chat. I love it. Works out perfectly. Again, super pumped to have all of you guys here. Again, Max, Justin, Ryan, Billy Carter, he'll say this: Tennessee Pitt game will be too dang close to call. And that maybe is what we're going to lead off with tonight as well. Let's go into that. And Jack, we love it. We love the negative Nancy's coming all the way out from Jack Freeman. Always good to have him out here on the chat. That doesn't want any promos, wants me to tell him something. Not like we don't do that enough as it is on the expert picks or the videos. So Jack, go watch some other videos and maybe you'll learn something. But again, welcome back, guys. Pittsburgh, Tennessee. Let's start with that. Last year, Pittsburgh beat Tennessee in Neyland Stadium, 41-34. 41-34 was an epic win, right? Hendon Hooker comes in to replace Joe Milton, and you can't help but wonder, in the offseason, we're going to do a lot of, what-if scenarios, not just from this season, but college football as a whole, right? We're going to be breaking down so many, what if this team had pulled off this upset? What if this team had done this? We're going to be breaking down a lot of that. So what if Joe Milton doesn't get hurt? Does Hendon Hooker ever take over for Tennessee last year? Not like, Hendon Hooker led him to a natty or anything, but he let him do a pretty good year, all things considered. After the Jeremy Pruitt debacle, Tennessee was in such a bad spot. And Josh Heupel comes in, and we're like, hey, they might be okay. Maybe fringe bowl team, but nowhere near as competitive as they should be. And in 1 year, boom, he's got about 7 wins. And should have been 8. Should have beat Purdue in that bowl game because Tennessee was in. I'm just putting it out there. Tennessee was in that Music City Bowl. But that's neither here nor there. It's a new year. Tennessee's kind of been shafted a little bit, though. Tennessee's kind of been, disrespected, I'd say, the last couple of weeks. They weren't ranked to start the year. Just barely slipping in to the top 25 now, in at number 24. I personally thought they were a top 25 team to start the year. So this is a great matchup. Great matchup between two teams that have great quarterbacks. We actually have a prediction video coming out on this tomorrow afternoon, 1 o'clock p.m. Central Time. We'll be breaking down Pittsburgh and Tennessee in deeper detail. But the problem that I've got with this game, guys, that I'm really torn is, on paper, I think a lot of people would side with Tennessee, right? Hendon Hooker, to me, owns the quarterback advantage over Keaton Slovis. Although Keaton Slovis was great last week. The backyard brawl, he was phenomenal. 308 yards in his first start. Had like 8 incompletions, 16 for 24, 308 yards. Major reason why Pittsburgh won that game. That game will be defined, I feel like, because of that one pick six at the end that Pittsburgh had. But, you know, Keaton Slovis lit it up. Didn't miss a beat. Tennessee's secondary, not too good. Last week against Ball State, still gave up over 260 passing yards to Ball State. Yes, some will be quick to say, well, that was in stoppage time. That was in the wasted time. Tennessee was already blowing them out of the water, and they were. But still, a secondary to me still isn't that impressive. Hendon Hooker owns the edge over Keaton Slovis, but not in a significant margin. Offensively as a whole, I think Tennessee owns the edge. This is one of the best offenses in the country last year, and they showed that again last week. 59-10 last week over Ball State. Doesn't mean much considering the opponent, but we saw what they did last year against some other opponents. Dropped, I think, 62 points on Missouri. I'm trying to remember, they dropped to over 40, I think, in their last few games. Another 60 on South Alabama. I think 40. I think they scored over 40 points like their last 4 games, something like that. It was unreal, with the exception of maybe Georgia. So the kicker is, do you have, a ranked Pittsburgh team that's ranked higher than Tennessee, who got a quality win over West Virginia, a more quality win than that of Tennessee, is a 7-point underdog at home? Let's think about that for a second. Pittsburgh, 7-point underdog at home, had a better win last week, is higher ranked than Tennessee, and yet they're a full touchdown underdog. What does that tell you? Are you biting on that spread? Are you biting on Pittsburgh and saying, hey, let's go? 7 points at home? Better, or are you sitting here saying, hey, there's a reason Tennessee is scheduled or, is favored over Pittsburgh? Again, we're going to have our official prediction out on this game tomorrow, guys, but I'm very, very excited for it. It's going to be high scoring, just like it was last year, 41-34. But the one thing I will say, the last thing I'll say on this game, last year, against Tennessee, Pittsburgh's defense was phenomenal. Still got up 34 points, but they had like 5 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries, an interception. They were really, really good. And we saw last week, Pittsburgh got dominated on the line of scrimmage. Blown off the line of scrimmage. A team for Pittsburgh that was supposed to have a pretty dang good front seven allowed 190 yards rushing to West Virginia. They weren't getting much pressure on JT Daniels. He was able to stand in the pocket, deliver. They weren't putting West Virginia behind the chains. Pittsburgh was struggling. And that front seven that's typically very strong wasn't looking very good last week. Factor in they had the 115th ranked secondary last year, and that didn't look much improved last week either. A little bit of a cause of concern. So, more analysis on that game tomorrow. We don't want to give you away because then you won't go watch the video. We want you to be able to watch the video and get more information because Jack over here says we don't tell him anything. So, we want to make sure that you guys go watch that so you learn something. But it's going to be one of the best games of the week. I will go out right now and say that, to me, is the best game of week 2. Pittsburgh and Tennessee. That's the best game of week 2. That one's number 1 for me. Number 2 is, of course, Baylor and BYU. I think those are your top 2 games in week 2. But Pittsburgh and Tennessee are going to be the best. All right, going back through the chat. Again, we promised we would hit everybody possible. Again, Rob Youngson, good to have you. He says, go Gamecocks. Big game against Arkansas this week. Justin Shinko, you the man. We appreciate you, man. And he's a big Gamecocks guy as well. 2 Gamecock fans in here. Ryan Mell, Kansas pulls the upset over West Virginia. I'll talk on them in a second, too. Let me catch up. I'll talk on them. And we'll come back to Broku as well, talking about the 12-team playoff makes the regular season meaningless, even though it makes lesser Power 5 and all Group of 5 games infinitely more meaningful. That's a great take, actually. We'll actually hit on that now. Great take. I don't buy into the meaningless regular season anymore. I've always been an advocate for expanded playoff. Anybody that comes out there and says, 12-team playoff now means like this Pittsburgh-Tennessee game is meaningless. Baylor, BYU is meaningless. Alabama, Texas. If you're going to come out there and say those games are meaningless because we've expanded the playoff, you're ridiculous. You are absolutely ridiculous because I don't understand how that's the case. Here's the thing. Go back and look at, and we'll do a series on this actually probably next week, right? We'll have a really break it down because I don't have the pictures with me right now. Go back and look at what a 12-team playoff would have looked like from 2014 on. Say that's how the playoff has started. Always been 12 teams. Way more competitive matchups, right? Way more competitive matchups, intriguing matchups. And for a lot of them, I never saw teams that probably shouldn't have been in there. Because here's the bottom line, guys. You're going to feel each other out. You're going to separate the contenders from the pretenders. So, for example, you throw a team like a couple years ago, I saw one, Coastal Carolina. What was that, 2019? 2020? Coastal Carolina would have made the college football playoff in a 12-team playoff. If they lost their first game to whoever it would have been, I'm just throwing it out there. Say it was Oklahoma State. They lose to Oklahoma State, okay, oh well. All right? But at least they got their shot. They got their shot, they got their chance. But if Coastal Carolina upsets that Oklahoma State, they upset Oklahoma State, then again, you've separated a contender from a pretender. Is Coastal Carolina going to go beat Alabama? No, they're not. They're not. But as we told y'all a couple in our video, we had a whole video when this announcement was made about the expanded playoff. I was looking at the top 4 teams from last year. Alabama, Michigan, Georgia, Cincinnati. And what would have happened had they played someone in a quarterfinal game, right? You have 12 teams who they would have played. You would not have had the same semifinals, right? Alabama, Michigan, Georgia, and Cincinnati, those 4 teams would not have been the last 4 teams left had we had an expanded playoff. They just wouldn't have been. Michigan easily could have lost. Not saying they didn't deserve to be there. But we saw how bad they got blown out by Georgia. They easily could have lost another game to Michigan State. They could have lost a rematch against Ohio State. Those things could have happened. Cincinnati probably would have been put out. They were really, really good. And again, I don't have the matchups with me right now. I don't know who they would have played, but we're basing this whole playoff system right now over 4 teams, 4 measly teams. We have 5 Power 5 conferences and 4 teams only get in. Right there, that was your mistake. That was your major mistake. I'm not saying that every conference champion should deserve to get in, but why not? Shouldn't that mean something? Shouldn't winning a Power 5 conference mean something? But instead, we have teams now, and again, not saying they didn't deserve it, but instead we have it now where, the SEC championship last year, for example, Alabama and Georgia, it didn't matter who won that game. I mean, yes, Alabama, had they lost, probably wouldn't have made the playoff, but Georgia knew they were in regardless. Or take this year, for example. What if Alabama and Georgia both go undefeated? So they have 2 12-0 teams in the SEC championship. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who wins that game. Alabama could win by 20. And Georgia's still getting in as that 4 seed. At the worst. Maybe a 3. So, again, why? It should mean something. Yes, maybe the Pac-12 isn't as strong as the SEC. Maybe the ACC isn't as strong as the Big Ten. Whatever. But it should mean something when you win your conference. It should mean something if you're a group of 5 team that runs the table and goes 11-1 and your lone loss was a road game at Ohio State. That should mean something. You shouldn't get rewarded with the Birmingham Bowl. You should be rewarded with a much better bowl than that. But that's not how it is. So what Broku's saying, obviously, is that I agree with him. It doesn't make the regular season games less meaningful. And if anything, smaller Power 5 programs, by smaller, we mean not your typical top 4, top 5 teams. It makes their games much more important. It makes all group of 5 games more important because the group of 5 will have a better chance of making the college football playoff as a top 12 team. Your highest ranked group of 5 champions are going to get in, but if you have another guy right out on the outside looking in, they have a shot at getting in as well. Because the way this playoff is going to be structured is obviously the highest ranked conference champions, top 4, get that first round bye. That's how it would work. Highest ranked conference champions, top 4 highest ranked, whether that's SEC, Pac-12, Big 12, and ACC, Big 10's left out, that's how it would work. Then the rest are kind of all at-larges, right? I think they are going to throw in the highest ranked group of 5 champions, so I think they're kind of a lock, not locked as 5, not locked as a 5 seed, but they will be in. And then obviously your 5th ranked Power 5 champion, they're in. So say, for example, Oregon. Let's say Oregon comes out there, wins the Pac-12 this year at 9-3, right? 9-3 regular season. They're not going to be a top 4 team, but they would get in as a top 12 team in this college football playoff because they won the Pac-12. And again, they deserve to be in because it means something to win a conference. So again, I've been for playoff expansion for a long time now. I think 12. I would have been okay with 8 personally. I would have been okay with putting in the top 5 Power 5 champions, or the highest ranked group of 5 champion, and then the 2 at-larges. I think that would have been an okay system. And then you don't have a bye week. 1, 8, 2, 7, 3, 6, 4, 5. That's how you do it. But I'm cool with 12 too. The games are still meaningful. the elite teams that say that these don't matter anymore, they're still playing for the buys. Wouldn't you rather have be one step closer to the national championship than have them play an extra game? Are you going to sit here and say that, when the NFL expanded theirs to 7 teams, that it became less meaningful? Because there are 16 teams in each conference of the NFL, 16 in the AFC, 16 in the NFC. You expanded to 7, you're practically letting in almost half of each conference. Does that make the games less meaningful? No, it doesn't. Because every team's still fighting for a playoff spot. You're fighting to win your division. Because again, if you win your division, you go to the playoff. Might not get the first round bye, but you get to go to the playoff. And additionally, they're fighting for the number 1 seed. 7 teams are in, only one number 1 seed now. Every game matters because you're trying to get that bye. Just like every game from here on out will matter because they're trying to get a top first round bye, top 4 team. It still matters, guys. People are overreacting to the whole thing. It doesn't ruin the sport. If anything, to me, it makes it better. It makes it more competitive. And for the people, if anything, guys, God, get me on a rant. The people that have complained about parity in college football, saying, I'm tired of seeing Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Georgia. I'm tired of seeing them in the top 4. This will now prevent that. So you asked for this. You wanted more parity in college football. This will bring it, because I can guarantee you we're going to come to this in a couple of years and we're going to say, what would the playoff have looked like if we had stuck with the 4-team system? And it would be your usual suspects, Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, whatever. But now you add 12. When we get to the Final 4, your typical 4 teams, they're not going to consist of it. 3 of the 4 might be there, but there's going to be an outlier. There could be 2 outliers. You don't know, because any given Saturday, anything can happen. It provides more parity for college football. The games are still just as important. It's better for the sport, and I will stand by that until the end. I'm very happy this is happening for college football. Got off of that little rant. I was supposed to stay on that for very long. But great comment by Bro Crew, and I love the discussion about the playoff. I really do. Billy Carter, Hendon Hooker led Tennessee out of a dark place. Yes, they did. He and Josh Heupel combined definitely did. As Dave said, Max is new. Max Todd, new to the family. We're super pumped to have him here. And like I said, help him out, help me out, help Dave out. My God, Dave, I'm sure his bank is running dry. I mean, this guy has carried us yesterday in the live stream, shows up today and doesn't drop a 5, doesn't drop a 10, drops a 77. My goodness. And I appreciate that so much. So help him out. Don't let Dave be the only one throwing in there. He's bought the picks. He's done the super chats every time, and we couldn't appreciate it more. We're really grateful. But I hate Dave being the only one out there. All right, continuing to go through, catching up here. Let's see. I saw someone say Coastal would have gotten killed. Yeah, they probably would have. That was a good team, though. Beat BYU that year. BYU was good, but Zach Wilson. Let's see. Yeah, Anthony James. Good to see you, man. Hope you're still in the chat. Yeah, very sneaky game. Oregon State against Fresno State. If you watched, I know you're a West guy, Anthony. I know you're a big USC fan, and you're a Pac-12 guy, and we love getting to talk about that with you. So you know what Oregon State's capable of, and you know what Fresno State's capable of. You watched our Pac-12 predictions. We've actually got Fresno State winning that game outright. We predicted that months ago. We said Fresno State's going to beat Oregon State. We said Oregon State has enough to beat Boise State in Corvallis, but now to go to Fresno to take on that Bulldogs team led by Jake Haener, they're too good. That passing attack is too good. And I'll give you the reason. I gave someone else earlier today. Oregon State's victory was great over Boise State. Give them credit for it. But man, it was sloppy. It was hard to watch. I mean, Oregon State won that game by 17 points, but they benefited from 5 Boise State turnovers. There was a point where Oregon State got an interception. 2 plays later, they fumbled it back to Boise. 2 plays later, Boise had fumbled. I mean, it was just ridiculous. It was sloppy. There were 8 combined turnovers between the 2 teams. And that's not going to fly against Fresno. First off, Fresno's not going to turn over the ball 5 times. Jake Haener is too good for that. Secondly, if Oregon State doesn't take care of the football, Fresno State's going to take advantage of that. They're going to capitalize off of the turnovers given to them. The offense is too good. I love this Fresno State team. I have them winning the Mountain West this year. And I think at home, late at night, they're going to take down Oregon State. I really do. Sneaky good game because the Beavers are no joke. We were just talking about them. They are one of 5 Power 5 teams to have not been ranked since 2014. A win over Fresno State, plus a win next week. I think they're playing Montana State. Could propel them into the top 25 as they head into Pac-12 play. But I don't think it's going to happen because I think they fall to the Bulldogs. What's up, Sam? We got Georgia's DM on here. How's it going, man? Congratulations on the big-time win for Georgia. Moving up a spot in the rankings. Jumped Ohio State. Beat Oregon by 46 points. Unbelievable. But hope you're doing well, man. Super pumped to have you here and appreciate you and all your support. Again, been here. Sam, along with many of you, have been here for a long, long time. We are getting so close to 10,000 subscribers. Think about that, guys. We are about 60 subscribers away. I still believe we can hit that mark by Saturday. Still believe we can hit the 10K mark by Saturday. Today's Wednesday, right? So we got the rest of the night. We've got all day Thursday, all day Friday. We've got tons of content coming out tomorrow. We've got a live stream in the morning, Tennessee, Pittsburgh prediction. We've got a Baylor, BYU prediction tomorrow night. We've got the Florida, Kentucky prediction on Friday. So we've got 4 more videos coming out this week before the games start. And then we start all over again on Sunday and Monday. So help us out. Help us get to 10K because we're going to throw a big celebration here on the channel if we can get to that. So, we're going to get there. It's just I'd rather have it happen sooner rather than later, right? But appreciate you, Sam. Appreciate you, Dave, again, coming through with another super chat. Another super chat. And what's going on here? Talk is Pitt's attacking you. I haven't caught up to the the chats yet. Let me see what's going on here. He's calling you a Karen. I can. We got moderators. I just don't know if they're showing up here. Come on now, Talk is Pitt. Keep it clean. Keep it clean now. It's all fun. Yes, you beat West Virginia fair and square. Yes, we know. Now it's time to look forward to Tennessee. But we can still look back on the West Virginia game and say, yes, you won. It was a big win, but not necessarily the best performance. We thought they'd play better up front in the trenches. Let's calm down. Let's calm down. Max just gave us a great compliment yesterday, talking about how we don't fight in the chat. I don't want to take that away from him. I don't want because he was telling the truth. We don't do that. Let's see here. Flobe, Arkansas will destroy South Carolina. I agree. I think they win by at least double digits, at least 10, I would say. Let's see. Texas Tech, Houston, salt of the earth. That's going to be a great game until Tech takes over in the fourth quarter. I agree. I think Texas Tech wins that game. We put that out there today, actually. I think Tech wins the game because first off, they beat Houston by 17 last year. And I'll stand by this. I was not impressed by Houston last week. Not at all. A Houston team that many, including myself, thought would be the best group of 5 team in the country this year did not look like it. Again, UTSA is not a bad team. Not saying they should have blown them out. But they needed a 14-point comeback in the fourth quarter. They needed 3 overtimes. Their defense was horrendous. The play calling by Dana Holgorsen, horrendous. Houston was lucky to win that game. Now you're going to Lubbock. People are pumped with Joey McGuire. Donovan Smith, I thought should have been the starter to start the year anyways. He's definitely going to be a starter now that Tyler Shugg's not playing. I don't think they light up Houston by any means, but they will win that game. I'd actually be shocked, genuinely, if Texas Tech failed to win that game. Teen Raider, what's going on? He's been here for a while. We're pumped to have you back tonight. Super excited to have you. Virginia beat Illinois. I'm trying to remember who I picked in that game, to be honest with you. I'm being completely honest. It's been so long since I've done those predictions. I think I predicted Virginia to win that game. I do. I think. Did I? God, I can't remember. I'm going to go back and watch that video. I think Virginia will, yes. So maybe I'll make a prediction change, but yes, I think they will. Illinois, I don't have faith in Brett Bielema, man. Everybody was eating me alive because I said Illinois would go 3-9, and it's still so early. I don't know what's going to happen with Illinois, but when you practically dominate the game against Indiana and still find a way to lose, and all you need is like one tiny little stop down the stretch, and you allow Indiana with all their new transfers and so many questions offensively to march down the field and win the game, it's just poor coaching, man. Poor execution. And yes, I know Illinois probably should have won the game because that touchdown was a touchdown, and the refs called it incomplete. They get that touchdown, they win the game. I understand it, but you can't based all off of one play, right? Plenty of other opportunities there. So I just don't have faith in Brett Bielema, man. He has consistently failed to win the big time games at every stop he's been. Did great at Wisconsin, but how many Rose Bowls did he win? Oh yeah, none. Went to what, 3 straight Rose Bowls and lost every single one of them. So congrats, you were making the Big Ten championship. Well, good for you. But you weren't winning the games when they mattered the most. Went to Arkansas, struggled at Arkansas. And it was a mixture, guys, for Brett Bielema between winning the big games and also blowing huge leads. I mean, this guy, you could give him a 100-point lead to start the game, and he'd probably find a way to blow it. I mean, seriously. It's unbelievable. He blew it last week against Indiana. At Arkansas, I mean, you could over 10 big-time blown leads. And maybe it wasn't even double digits, right? I mean, his last 2016, I know they were up 24 points on the road against Missouri, found a way to lose that game. That was a Missouri team that wasn't very good. They went to a bowl game right after that, went to the Belt Bowl against Virginia Tech, led 24-0 in that game, found a way to blow it. Multiple years, were up by 14 points in 2014 against number 6 Texas A&M, found a way to lose that game. They were up 13-7 against Alabama, had a chance to upset Alabama in Fayetteville, found a way to lose that game because of a blocked extra point. Special teams was horrendous under Bielema because he came out and said he doesn't believe in that. Head football coach, I don't believe in special teams. We'll be fine. We don't need a special teams coordinator. Special teams is stupid. Okay. Yeah, and the amount of blocked kicks that Arkansas suffered and the amount of kickoff returns that Arkansas allowed, and Wisconsin for that matter when he was there, it shows. It shows. So, I mean, I could go on and on and on about the blown leads and the big games that Bielema failed to finish. I think that's probably what it is. It's a matter of finishing. He never was able to do it. And, so will Virginia beat them right now? I'm going to say yes, probably, because I know it's on the road for Virginia, but that passing attack is super, super good with Brennan Armstrong, Tony Elliott, and just don't see it happening. Just don't see it happening for Illinois until Brett Bielema shows he can actually, hold some leads and win. It's rough. It's rough. Well, I think Illinois is in for a rough year. Tim Moore, he says, no way the Arkansas beat South Carolina. They got pretty lucky against Cincinnati. And Tim, I'm not trying to be a smart aleck here, but you got pretty lucky against Georgia State. So if I'm betting my money anywhere, I'm taking Arkansas because Cincinnati, Georgia State. Again, for Georgia State, someone say, how did we get lucky? Well, your quarterback in Spencer Rattler threw 2 interceptions in his debut. You were down 14-12 to Georgia State in the third quarter. You gave up 200 rushing yards to the Panthers, and you needed 2 blocked punt returns for a touchdown to seal the deal. You won by 21 points. If you take away those 2 blocked punts for a touchdown, you only win by 7, which means the game drastically changes. Strategy changes. Opportunities change. The motivation changes. Everything changes in that game. So I would say that, yes, Arkansas did get lucky. Not taking that away from them. They definitely did. Had a lot of missed opportunities for Cincinnati. But South Carolina, I would say, just as lucky. And South Carolina, to me, not at the level of Cincinnati right now. So it does go both ways. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Again, Dave, I appreciate you and all your support, man. The 2 super chats tonight coming through clutch. It's always on, guys. Always on. We appreciate it. Whether it's $1, $5, $10, it helps us out big time. And look, I'm getting to reap the benefits of this, and I couldn't be happier and couldn't be more grateful. But I sit here and I do feel bad for my man Dave and Cash Money, who just consistently pump us with the super chats. So help him out. Help a guy out. Let's see here. Who else we got? Anthony James, I agree with that too. We were going back to our playoff talk. It gives so much more value to the New Year's Six Bowls. Yes, it does. 100%. Cyclone Mitch, Iowa fans were booing Spencer Petras, their quarterback. I've never heard them boo any player. Yeah, because Iowa fans are pretty chill, honestly. I mean, I don't know about you, Cyclone Mitch. You're an Iowa State fan, so I know you guys butt heads. But from an outsider, Iowa, you Midwesterners, man, you guys, Iowa, Kansas. When I went to Kansas, I went to Kansas State. They were really chill, really nice. Just talking to fans. I wasn't really there with a dog in the fight. I was just happy to be there. And everybody was very respectful and calm and just fun to be around. So you Midwesterners are typically pretty chill. But look, I don't always support booing a team or booing a player, but I think Spencer Petras kind of deserves that. Look, man, you a veteran QB and you're playing that bad. I think his QBR was like a 1.1 or something like that. I mean, it was embarrassing. Just embarrassing. And as I was saying, Iowa State has a really good chance to end their streak against Iowa this week. We didn't pick Iowa State. I couldn't pull myself to do it. They've, lost 6 straight. It is on the road at Kinnick, which means something. And again, kind of what we used in our video today, while Iowa State offense, they look good against SEMO, looked good against Southeast Missouri. It's still very young. From an experience standpoint, they're not to where they were last year when they had a veteran quarterback in Brock Purdy, a veteran running back in Breece Hall, and they got killed by Iowa, lost 27-17. That score looking a little bit better than it was. Iowa relied on the strength of their defense to win that game, just like they did last week against South Dakota State, just like they did for most of last year. So now the game's at Kinnick Stadium. The defense is still as strong as ever. If Iowa State and this young offense makes a couple mistakes and gives Iowa favorable field position, Petras might not turn them into touchdowns, but they can probably turn them into field goals. And at the end of the day, that might just be enough to give Iowa the win. So I'm going with the Hawkeyes here. But as I said in the video, I don't feel super, super confident about it because I easily could see the Cyclones. This is one of the better chances I feel like Iowa State's had to end this streak just because of how bad Iowa, especially offensively, is right now. Braden Gervais, good to see you. Happy to have you here. Again, just kind of anybody new, I'd like to give him a big old shout out. Cyclone Mitch, I do agree with that. If Iowa State scores more than 2 touchdowns, we're 100% guaranteed to win. I would agree with that. Look, I think for Iowa, if you can exploit their defense enough to drop 14 or 17 points, and you don't beat yourself with giving Iowa good field position or allowing them to score defensive or special teams touchdowns, you've won the game. I have no faith in Mitchell Petras in this offense to score 14 to 17 points on their own. So I agree. You score 14 points, you find a way to get some big plays and exploit that defense, and you drop 14, game over. Ball game. Iowa State wins. I 100% do agree with that. Excellent point. Excellent point. Billy Carter says, April Fool's idea. Let's do some college football ASMR. God, that would be interesting. That would be interesting. Let's see. Hey, Eddie, how's it going, man? What do I think are the best 3 Missouri quarterbacks in history? Goodness. God, I might have to get back to you on that, Eddie. Be honest. Might have to be honest for you on that. That's, Chase Daniels up there. He was great. Obviously, kind of a legend. NFL journeyman. I'm also thinking just recently, too. Just kind of recent quarterbacks. Chase Daniel, I'm sure for many would probably agree that he was the best for Missouri. Was it Franklin? Was it Franklin in 20, like when they made those SEC East championships, when they won like 2012, 2013, 2014 and there, when they were consistently going to the SEC championship? I think it was Franklin. I would put him up there. I can't put Matty Mock up there. I don't know if I can put Matty Mock in the top quarterbacks. Drew Lock, obviously, definitely would put Drew Lock in there. So maybe not in any specific order, but Daniel, Franklin, and Lock, maybe would be my top 3. I'd have to do a little more research on that for you, but I know those are all relatively recent, but those were pretty good QBs. Yes. Let's see. Will Levis is still at Kentucky. Sam was at the Georgia game. I love that. Yeah, let's keep it all civil. Let's definitely keep it civil. I love it. The road to 10K, guys. I appreciate you, Anthony. Appreciate you, Dave, Teen Raider, Robert Sharpton. He wants to see a 24-hour live stream. I don't know. Maybe if we get 100 of these things, maybe if we get 100 expert pick subscriptions by the end of the year. That's not something we have to have by tomorrow. That's something that we're hoping to have by the time the national championship ends. It's 100 of those, and right now we're on track to get that. But the more help, the better. So we get 100 of those. Maybe we get a 24-hour live stream. You never know. I think I always wanted to do one. So maybe at some point we'll definitely jump on that train. New Mexico Noah, good to have you back, man. Tomorrow morning, I promised you, we're going to talk about the I-10. Talk to you about that. UTEP in New Mexico State. So I promised you we would be talking about that. So we will be bringing that to the table along with something else I promised somebody that we're going to talk about tomorrow. Get the I-10, and I guess it's NFL. We're going to talk about NFL a little bit tomorrow morning. That'll be fun. But Mountain West, how much of a fight do you think New Mexico is going to put up against Boise? I'm not going to say much. I don't think it's going to be much of a fight. which I'm sure you're happy about that, right? As a New Mexico State fan, you don't want New Mexico to look good. New Mexico's trending in the right direction. They've improved for sure. The fact they dropped 41 last week was obviously a sign of improvement, but I think Boise State bounces back. I don't know how much they're going to win by, but I think they win by double digits. I think there's still a pretty big talent gap there. I think Andy Avalos is kind of already feeling the hot seat. He's 7-6 in his career at Boise State, and for Boise State standards, that's not acceptable. A close win or a loss, heaven forbid, to New Mexico would almost, I feel like, seal his fate in Boise. I know it's only 2 games into his second year, but they need a big win for everybody to say, okay, calm down. We lost to a good Oregon State team. We're still going to beat up on some of the lower teams in the Mountain West. So I think they're gonna get it done. I think they're gonna get it done. So and win by double digits, I should say. I love Anthony James there. Never popping champagne and champagne. Never popping champagne and champagne. I love that. They will not. At least for a long, long time. Not while Bielema's there, I can tell you that. Let's see here. Anthony James. I see Steve Sarkisian, his comment about Alabama basically saying it doesn't matter. Yeah, I did see that. 2 things I actually want to talk on with coaches. I want to do that right there. On that one, I did see that. How would you feel? How would y'all feel if you were a Texas player hearing that from your coach, right? Basically saying, as Anthony said, basically the game doesn't matter. He's like, look, my ultimate goal as coach of Texas is to have us in Dallas in December playing for a Big 12 championship game. This game does not dictate that. This game has no influence, no value, no implications on whether or not we get to go play for a conference championship, because it's obviously not a conference game. It will be soon, but right now it's not. And so he's like, we don't impact them going to the SEC championship. They don't impact us going to the Big 12 championship. So what's it matter? And if you're a Texas player, I'm sitting here like, what do you mean what's it matter? And I'm sure people are slightly taking that out of context, right? Like, yes, obviously Steve Sarkisian wants to win, but it does feel like he's almost admitting defeat. Like, look, man, we don't stand a chance. We are not beating Nick Saban, which they're not. Alabama's going to cruise to victory in this game. But we don't stand a chance here. Let's go out there, try our best, try to look respectable, maybe cover the spread, and then move on to conference play, because that's what ultimately matters. If I'm a Texas player playing for Steve Sarkisian or a recruit looking at that, I'm like, not a good look, man. That's just not a good look. I mean, you want to play for a guy that almost wants you should play for a coach that makes you believe you can win any game out there, right? So if I'm Texas, obviously I have nothing to lose. You're playing for pride, but you're also playing to shock the country, shock the nation. You got the number 1 team coming to your house. Not very often does any team get to experience that. The number 1 team in the country coming to you. Shock the nation. Do the unthinkable. Get them hyped. But Sarkisian's like, yeah, it doesn't matter. Like, if we win, awesome. If we lose, no big deal. We're fine. It's like, right? What else? What other implications does it have? I don't know. Playoff implications. You beat Alabama. Not only do you put a damper on their playoff hopes, because one more loss for Alabama would boot them from the playoff picture. 2 losses probably not going to make it. But also for Texas, if somehow they beat Alabama, first off, you thought Florida moving up to 12th was bad in the rankings. If Texas beats Alabama, might as well just crown the Longhorns the new number 1 team. But if they do, they become playoff contenders. They legitimately do. You just took down the number 1 team in the country. Your resume is padded. You got a Big 12 slate that's very manageable. And Texas could afford 1 loss to a conference team, win the Big 12, and still make the college football playoff. So there's so much at stake than just a random non-conference game. But Sarkisian doesn't seem to really be getting that point across. The second thing I will say before I keep going through the chat is, how about Brian Kelly? Did y'all see that? If I could pull up that clip, I would. But did y'all see Brian Kelly yesterday? He comes in there and I think personally it was a bit of a misunderstanding. And, he comes in there and goes, hey, the media's late. I want to welcome this late joining media crew, because that's going to be $10, and we put it in the pot, and however many times it happens, we'll have a big celebration at my place on me. And then the reporter comes out and she goes, well, maybe if you start winning, we'll be on time. And he's like, well, I don't think it's anything about winning. I think it's about being on time. I think it goes both ways. To me, I think Brian Kelly was joking, if you want to ask me personally. I think he was kind of cracking a joke. Didn't really mean it maliciously. However, the way he comes off, tone of voice, very important. You learned that in communications. Tone of voice, very important. And I think he did come off very cocky, did come off kind of arrogant. and basically almost kind of upset that the media was a little bit late. Which some are saying that the press conference started at 12 and she walked in at 11:57. I don't know, nor do I care. Bottom line is, a lot of people are praising the young reporter for her and what she said. And I will say that's a pretty savage move, man. That's a pretty savage move. Shouldn't she have said it? Probably not, because I really think Brian Kelly was cracking more of a joke than anything else. But on the flip side, he probably shouldn't have even tried to make the joke, because it could be perceived differently. Could be taken differently, and clearly it was. I feel like I think his tone of voice, his demeanor, how the joke or the comment was delivered, people took it the wrong way, rubbed it the wrong way, and she fired back. Good for her, but that's obviously not a good look for a Brian Kelly team that, first game at LSU, all this excitement, loses to Florida State in New Orleans, practically in his backyard, makes a comment like that right out the gate at his press conference. 2 days after they lose that game. I mean, it's just a dumpster fire at LSU right now, guys, and you hate to see it. Maybe you love to see it if you don't like LSU. I don't know, but yeah, not good. Not good. So definitely we'll talk on that a little bit. Want to give a quick shout out real quick to Ryan Mell. Appreciate you, man. Thank you very much for that super chat donation again. So helping Dave out a little bit there. I really, really appreciate it. Again, every bit counts, man. Every bit counts. So thank you very much, Ryan. Hardest game left for Georgia. Sam says Tennessee. I would probably go out there and say Tennessee as well, and not to copy, but I think Tennessee's offense will probably be the best offense that Georgia faces all year long, prior to maybe Alabama, as Dave said, in the SEC championship. So, yeah, I would say probably Tennessee. That offense. You look at last year, I think, wasn't Tennessee winning that game at halftime? Wasn't it like 17-14 Vols at halftime? Then obviously Georgia, won like 41-17. But at the time, prior to the SEC championship game and things like that, Tennessee had put the most points on Georgia in that defense. They had put the most yards on them. They were doing really, really good. And this Tennessee team is, to me, way better than they were last year, which is kind of a scary thing to think about. But the game, I'm pretty sure, is in Athens, right? Isn't it in Athens? So if it was in Knoxville, I'm not saying I'd pick Tennessee, but I'd be a little more scared if I were Georgia. But yeah, I think the hardest game left is Tennessee for them, and then anybody they place in the postseason, whether that's Alabama in the SEC championship game, someone in the college football playoff. But I remember saying when we predicted this Oregon game last week, I was like, if they get past Oregon, which we knew they would, they're probably going to coast. I mean, Oregon arguably was probably the toughest test for them on their schedule outside of Tennessee. So everybody, who are they going to play? Are they going to lose to Auburn? No. They're going to lose to anybody in the East, maybe besides Tennessee? No. You're not going to lose to South Carolina. You're not going to lose to Vandy. You're not going to lose to Missouri. Who's their other West team this year? Is it Mississippi State? So the air raid might be kind of tough with that secondary. I mean, Will Rogers, Hendon Hooker, guys like that are going to be light years better than Bo Nix. But still, I don't think it's that daunting for Kirby Smart. They have faced tougher opponents, right? So, yeah, hardest game remaining, probably Tennessee and anybody they face in the postseason. But Ryan, appreciate you and all your support, man. I know you've been here forever. You've been here, part of the team and the family for a long, long time. And I appreciate that donation, man. It goes a long way. So thank you very much. All right, come back up to the top a little bit. We're getting close to catching up to the chat, which is great. Let's see. Let's see here. Texas got to be Texas A&M, play competitive. Yeah, it's very true, Teen Raider. Basically, go out there with nothing to lose. Play competitive, play tough. Modak, Kentucky and Florida prediction. We'll have that prediction out on Friday. But to answer Sam's question, how will Will Levis perform in the Swamp? I was reading up on this game the other day, and it was actually a really good point from some article. I don't remember what it was. Will Levis, his QBR was horrible last year against Florida. So I'll touch on that for a second. Last year the game was in Lexington. It was at Kentucky. Low-scoring game. I think it was like 20-13. Kentucky, the difference maker was the blocked field goal return for a touchdown. That gave Kentucky the win over Florida, who at the time was the 10th-ranked team in the country. Will Levis was horrible in that game. I think his QBR was in the 20s, like 21, 22, something like that. It wasn't good. He did not play well. So now, that was at home against a Florida team that we saw as the year went on wasn't really all that good. And I think the Kentucky team was what unraveled that Florida team. It was their second loss of the year, but second conference loss. They knew their hopes of an SEC title and SEC East title were gone because Georgia wasn't going to lose. Their season was practically over for the big hopes of making the playoff or making the SEC championship. They were done when they lost to Kentucky. But Will Levis struggled. Florida's defense looked pretty good for the most part against Utah. Yes, Cam Rising and Tavion Thomas, they moved the ball extremely well, and some would say moved it with ease, but still held them to 26 points, 29, 26, held them to 26 points, didn't allow too many big-time plays, and this defense, I think, is severely underrated. I would say not overrated, underrated, and Billy Napier has built up a very strong defense in a very short amount of time with Florida. We talked about how, we felt that Florida secondary is pretty solid, and really their back seven was going to be pretty solid. It was going to be, what about the guys up front? Well, Kentucky typically has a strong offensive line, so I'm not too worried about that. But how is Will Levis going to handle the heat? How is he going to handle the swamp, right? How is he going to be able to handle this Florida defense that did a pretty dang good job and sealed the deal last week with a pick? So the secondary, no joke, right? Florida's got a reason to be excited again. They're a 12th ranked team in the country. The Swamp's one of the most difficult places to play in the country. Kentucky's going to be without Chris Rodriguez at running back, so he doesn't have that safety blanket. He doesn't have that chance just to hand it off all the time and hope for the best. Will Levis is going to have to deliver. And right now, as great of a quarterback as he is, and as much respect as I have for him, I don't know if I have faith in him to win the game in the Swamp. I really don't. I really don't know if they do. So we'll touch more on that on Friday with that prediction video, but excellent question, Sam. I love that. Talking about Florida and Kentucky. All right, let's see. Grant Bernberg, good to have you, man. He's got Western Carolina beating Georgia Tech. Wouldn't count it out. Austin Burns, nice to have you tonight. Good to see you. Congrats on the win for Florida. We talked about them last night. For those of you that were here, we went on quite the rant about the AP, but I do agree they're still ranked too high. Thomas is a New Mexico fan. I love that. Like I said, I love getting obscure teams in here. A lot of us are, big Power 5 fans. So I love getting a New Mexico State fan like Noah. We've got Thomas, who's a New Mexico fan. We've had guys in here that have supported Liberty and so many other different programs. I love it. Flobe, are you excited for tomorrow? Start of the NFL season. I am. I'm very excited. Rams and Bills, man. What a game. What a way to start the year. You're taking the reigning Super Bowl champions and the Rams facing off against what is, for many, is the Super Bowl favorite and the Bills. So that's going to be an awesome start to the NFL season. We will be talking about that on tomorrow's live stream at 8 a.m. So if you're getting up early, getting ready for work, getting ready for school, got a break, who knows, jump in. Jump in for a few minutes. We're going to be talking about the NFL. We're going to be talking about the I-10 rivalry for Noah. We promised him that. So we're going to be talking about UTEP and New Mexico State for a little bit. And, of course, taking your questions and comments. And then, again, next week, we'll be back with the phones, right? Hope you guys light the phones up. We'll be taking about calls for 3-4 minutes at a time. Because we can't have people on here talking for 20 minutes. That gets old, right? Try to get through as many callers as possible. But we're going to go back and forth between calls and chat and just talking college football, just like we have here. Just like we have for the last few weeks, and we're loving it. Let's see here. Still catching up a little bit. I'm getting really, really close. Kelly is a joke, salt of the earth says. I mean, you said it, not me. Let's see what else. Again, appreciate you, Ryan, for that super chat. So Ryan and Dave tonight helping us out. Appreciate both of you. Hunter5657, nice to see you here again. Hunter, again, as we've always liked to mention, knows his Clemson football first off. He knows his Clemson football and will forever be the first ever caller here at the Gridiron Expert. When we started doing live call-in shows, Hunter was the first one on the phones, which is pretty dang awesome. So love having you back, Hunter. Hope you're doing well, man. All right. We're pretty much caught up. Talk about Dave here in a second. I love this question here. I love his comment. He loves Mississippi State. They bought into Mike Leach. He has his team emphasize all caps. Why? Because the next point is he's weeded them out. Mike Leach, if you know Mike Leach first, I love him, man. The Pirate, right? He speaks his mind. He does what he wants to do. He says what he wants to say. And there are a lot of people, not just coaches, I think normal people like you and me, that I think sometimes struggle with that, right? I think a lot of us are never really going to truly speak our mind. We're not just going to walk up to a stranger or walk up to our boss or whoever and just like slam your hand down, but this is how it is. This is how it is. This is exactly how I feel. This is exactly how I think, and you're going to listen, and if not, you're going to boot me out. Mike Leach does that. He tells the media how he feels. He tells the players how he feels. He tells his superiors how he feels. And if you don't like it, oh well, right? I mean, and I love it. He's very candid, very honest. He's genuine. He's authentic. And what Mike Leach has done is people haven't liked it, but he's weeded out Mississippi State. And that's something that I think a lot of coaches don't do. He showed up to Mississippi State, and there were a lot of players on that team that didn't want to be there. You know, they were there because they were there on scholarship, or they were there because they thought they were good enough. And just deserved a roster spot. Or, hey, I was here with Joe Moorhead. I was a starter with him, so I'm going to be a starter with you. Well, that's not how it works. That's not exactly how it works. Mike Leach has gone in and weeded out this team. He's recruited well. He's brought in good coordinators. He's implemented his system. And the guys that are there now want to play for Mississippi State. They want to play for him. And that is how you build a program, is getting your guys in there. And yeah, Mississippi State, man, I love them a lot this year too. I only got them at 6-6. Which I hated to do, but I looked at their schedule, man. As good as they are, I question how many of those wins could they get, you know? I will say LSU looks vulnerable now. The game is in Death Valley, but that's not this week, but next week, week 3, they're in Baton Rouge. Mississippi State could win that game. They definitely could beat Arkansas. They probably should have beat Arkansas last year. So I've got them at 6 wins. I could see them winning 9. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if they won 8 or 9 games at all. The talent's there. It's just, can they navigate one of the most difficult schedules in the country? I think there's a span there where they play, like, you know, LSU on the 17th. I know they've got Texas A&M on the 15th. No, the 1st. It's like LSU on the 17th. October 1st, they've got A&M. October 8th, they've got Arkansas. The week after, or the week after that, they've got Alabama. Later on in the year, they've got Georgia. Later on in the year, in the finale, they got Ole Miss, who they haven't beat since Mike Leach arrived there. So it's a tough road ahead for Mike Leach and the Bulldogs. But yeah, but I do love this team a lot. I love the air raid. I think the air raid, honestly, genuinely, something about me, I think the air raid might be my favorite source of offense. I know it's not the most methodical and strategy-wise, not the best, and not many teams run it. But, man, it's fun to watch. And I think, honestly, if I was a coach, I'd probably be implementing their air raid myself, if I'm being completely honest. So when I become the head coach of Akron, watch out. We're going to be the air raid's coming. The air raid's coming. Let's see here. Hey, Sam, appreciate you, man. Just saw that popping up here. Thank you very much for that super chat. Thank you. Again, guys, every bit counts. Every single bit goes a long way. That brings us to, what's that? Almost $90 tonight, and that helps out. So help us get to 100, maybe get to $100. That'd be huge. That'd be huge. But appreciate you, Sam, all your support. Keep killing it where you're at, man. And I'll talk to you soon for sure. We'll have you on the show here soon too. Again, we're hoping to have more guests on. All right, last few things here. Hunter, do I think ECU will rethink on their kicker? No, I don't. As Dave said, he took ECU against the spread. Hope he gets his confidence back. I hope he gets his confidence back too, man. He was an all-conference kicker last year. It was just a horrible rap. It was a mind thing. And I will stand by this. I'm not completely saying it was someone else's fault, but that extra point that Daffer missed, the laces were facing him. Go back and watch it. The laces were facing the kicker. It screws you up. Yes, he probably should have made it with it being as close as it was. The laces, I think that saying typically I think applies more for longer field goals, but still, it can screw with you. It screws, and you're looking down at the ball because you're not taking your eye off the ball. It messes with you. It messes with your head. It messes with the process. So he misses the extra point that would have tied the game, and when he had the chance to win it, I think he was already rattled. He was already upset enough that he had missed it. Probably didn't think he was going to get a chance to go back out there and win the game, and so when he did, he wasn't mentally ready and shanked it. I do hope he gets his confidence back. Game is all-conference kicker, and I hope that the ECU fans haven't been too hard on him and that he's not beating himself up too hard either, because it happens. That's just part of the game. But, yeah, I don't think they're going to rethink their kicker. I think they're going to hold on to him. Justin Shinko, great question here. Is the Clemson dynasty over? No, it's not. But I will tell you this, Justin. If they refuse to change Decade Klubnik, and as Dave said, he's answering the questions for me. I love it. No, if they put Klubnik in and get rid of DJ, they're fine. DJ's a nice guy, but he just can't see the field, make the proper reads. They've given him more chances. Move on. I couldn't have said it better myself, honestly, Justin. I'll give you an example. Back in 2010 season, so Alabama was fresh off a national championship, first one under Nick Saban. They followed that up in 2010 and go 10-3, which was the exact same record that Nick Saban or that Dabo Swinney and Clemson had last year. They went 10-3, won their bowl game over Iowa State. And people immediately said the Alabama dynasty's over. They won one national championship. They're done. Well, since that point, Alabama has won 5 more national championships. Granted, they had the best coach of all time in Nick Saban, but one down year, and again, down year winning 10 games, not too bad to me. But one down year doesn't define you. But as Dave just said, if Dabo stays loyal to DJ for some reason, if Dabo stays loyal to him and keeps riding him, then I think the dynasty could be over because Clemson will lose more than one game this year. Clemson needs to find themselves back atop the ACC. They've got to go win the ACC. And I'm here to tell you right now that if DJ stays their quarterback, I think they're going to slip up to an ACC opponent, whether that's NC State, whether that's Wake Forest. That game's in Winston-Salem, so it's on the road. Whether it's Florida State, they could slip up to either one of those. I do feel confident they'll fall to Notre Dame because that Notre Dame defense will eat DJ alive. He would eat him alive. But if you change to Cade Klubnik, a guy who can make the reads better, the guy who's more mobile, the guy who has a better arm, who across the board gave that Clemson offense a spark, and that drive, that short drive at the end of the game against Georgia Tech was a better drive than any drive we saw from DJ the other night. If you switch to him, the season changes drastically. The offense improves drastically. The defense is already one of the best units in the country, and they're going to stay that way. All they're missing is a quarterback. The receivers are there, the running backs there, the line's there. All they're missing is a quarterback. And if you change to Cade Klubnik, everything changes for Clemson to the point where maybe they could go 11-1 or undefeated, and they're back in the college football playoff. So that's how important that one player is. That's how important that one change is for Clemson. So I don't think it's over. You can't say a dynasty is over after 1 year, but a consistent. This year, maybe next year, Clemson fails to make the playoff, fails to win the ACC, then it very well could be over. And I hate to say that because I love Dabo. I love his passion. I love his enthusiasm. I love his story. If you don't know his full story and his backstory, go read it sometime. Go check it out. Had an unbelievable career. Was struggling financially. Was able to push through playing at Alabama. Got a low-end coaching job. Was the interim head coach at Clemson, obviously. And thought that because he was named interim, that was bad because most interims, or most times when a coach gets fired mid-season, his assistants, they're already looking for other jobs. They need to find a way out. Well, Dabo, as interim, had to focus on leading the team. He didn't have that opportunity to go start looking for other jobs. He was like, I'm going to be the interim for like 3 or 4 games. They'll fire me when the season's over, and then I'm going to be unemployed. Well, Dabo helped lead Clemson to a bowl game that year. The interim tag was removed, and the rest is history. So a very, very cool story for Dabo Swinney. And I do not think the dynasty is over. But great question, though. I do like that. Max Todd, great question. Most overrated top 10 team? Bingo, Texas A&M. I think I've still got it up here. Right now, who's in the top 10, the most overrated team? A&M at 6, and maybe USC at 10, just because I still don't think USC is worthy of a top 10 spot. And I know Anthony and I were talking about that not too long ago. I know he's thrilled they're in the top 10. They've got a good coach and a good team, but they went 4-8 last year, and since that 4-8 finish, they beat one team, and that one team was Rice. Now they're a top 10 team. It doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. So I'd put Texas A&M and USC on the field. Have them play each other, and the winner stays in the top 10. The loser falls out. Or if you don't want to be that harsh, move them to 20, between the 20 and 25 range, where I think they most likely belong. But yes, Max, great question and great answer. I think A&M is the most overrated team, and followed by USC in the top 10. I don't think either are worthy of that spot, really, right now. A&M more so than USC. I can see A&M. I am curious to see how they play against App State. For those of you wondering, App State's not going to put up as many points as they did against UNC, and that game's not going to be as similar as the UNC game was. But I'm interested to see how the Aggies play against that type of offense and that electricity they have. And then I think it's next week, the 17th, A&M hosts Miami. Potential top 15 showdown in College Station. That will be the true test for both teams. Who deserves to be ranked in the top 15? If Miami goes into College Station and wins that game, they're very worthy of their ranking. Some people think they're overrated. A&M wins that game, it shows, okay, you shut down Tyler Van Dyke and this team, okay, we'll keep you in the top 10. You proved to me you can be a quality opponent for once. So yeah, be interesting. Very fun of that. Let's see here. Last few questions. I do have to run here in probably about 10 minutes or so, unfortunately. So we're going to cut it a little bit short tonight. But again, we'll be back tomorrow at 8 a.m. with plenty of other videos, but another live stream here at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Sarah Brown says, go Bulldogs, big-time Mississippi State fan. I think it's only because she likes the color maroon, from what I've heard. But she still supports her Bulldogs, still supports Mississippi State. Big game against Arizona on Saturday night, way out west. Maybe we'll get to watch that. Scotty, if you are Baylor, how would you defend the passing game of BYU? Great question. Jaron Hall. Someone said to me the other day, they go, I like Blake Shapen over Jaron Hall. And I kind of wrinkled my nose at that a little bit. I love Blake Shapen. I think he's a great quarterback. But better than Jaron Hall, I wouldn't put that there right now. I think, honestly, at the quarterback edge, I lean more towards BYU. So if I'm Baylor, how am I defending the passing game of BYU? First thing is keeping Hall in the pocket. Hall's got a little bit more mobility. He really does. So first off, you got to contain him. Keep him there. Don't allow him to roll out. Don't allow him to extend plays. And the biggest thing for Baylor, Scotty, is BYU really isn't a team that consistently is going to beat you deep. They're not a team that's going to beat you on the big throws. It's all intermediate. BYU, I'm not saying they don't have big play capability, but primarily they're going to be hitting you on the short intermediate throws. And so if I'm Baylor, I'm not really worried. I'm creeping up the safeties, what I'm doing. I'm not playing too many guys back. You don't want to have the risk the chance of getting beat, but I'm not putting too many guys back. I don't see Jaron Hall completing many passes more than 20 yards against Baylor in this defense. So you got to creep up. And the biggest thing, Scotty, is to force Jaron Hall to hit his checkdowns, right? Hit the running backs out of the backfield. Hit the shorter routes, not the deeper intermediate routes. And as soon as those balls are caught, right, you're popping them right there. Hitting those open field tackles, not beating yourself. It was actually one of the keys to our game for Alabama and Texas was making sure that Texas, if they want to have a chance against Alabama, got to make the open field tackles and not beat yourself. Not many yards after the catch, not many yards after contact. Baylor and David Randa, they're really good on their fundamentals, one of the best coaches in the country. Don't have to worry too much, I feel like, for Baylor for that. But to defend that passing game, Scott, is, chip away, chip away, chip away. Eventually, one thing David Rand is going to do is, I feel like, pressure Jaron Hall. It's one of those, I give you a good tactic. You see what I'm saying here. Super Bowl 53, not to draw too many comparisons, Bill Belichick never blitzed Jared Goff. Patriots and Rams never blitzed him until the game got close. 10-3, Rams are driving, late in the fourth, trying to tie. He sent a blitz. Goff didn't see it coming. Hadn't done it all night. Waited all game, right for that moment. When he did, Goff didn't know what to do. Jacked it up. Pick by Stephon Gilmore. Patriots marched down there, kicked the field goal to go up by 10, game over. That one play was one of those underrated plays of the Super Bowl, and it was a brilliant call because that was a defensive lineup and a scheme that Goff and Sean McVay, they hadn't seen all night. They hit him with it. Dave Aranda, I'm not drawing comparisons saying he's Bill Belichick, but he's a great defensive mind, and we know that. We know how good he is defensively. I think he's going to throw a bunch of different looks at Jaron Hall to the point where they're not going to be able to get beat deep. They're not going to get big-time plays allowed. It's all about those short and intermediate throws. As long as Baylor doesn't allow those to go for big gains, they can win that game. I really am a fan right now of BYU in that game. Again, we'll have our official prediction out for it tomorrow night, Scott, 6 p.m. Central Time. We'll be talking about that. But it's going to be a fun one. Kind of similar to that A&M Miami game. This is an opportunity. BYU feel that they're disrespected at 21st right now. An opportunity to jump into the top 15 if they beat Baylor. But Baylor, they got their eyes set on the playoff. You know that. And if they can beat BYU in Provo, a very difficult place to play, all bets are off. They win that. Better watch out. I would actually move Baylor up in my rankings. I think I have them at 8th. I'd move them up a little bit with a win over BYU. All right, hitting up a couple of last comments here. Ryan Bell disagrees. Clemson wide receivers aren't elite; they're just above average. I mean, they got some solid players there. Justin Nagata is pretty solid. I'll give him that. I know Will Shipley's not a wide receiver, but Will Shipley at running back, I'd say, has kind of exceeded expectations. So, as Tim would say, Shipley's a very scary player at Clemson. That's coming from a South Carolina fan. So, putting bias aside, I like it. Sean Holiday, curious about my percent of Texas beating Alabama. I wish I could say 0, but that's not possible. Never a 0% chance for anything. Percent chance for Texas to beat Alabama, 3-4%. I mean, literally, that's how little faith I have in Texas. I think the FPI is giving them like 20%. That is way too high. Way too high. 1 in 5 chance of beating Bama. I'm not sure about that one. It's going to be very, very low. Under 10%. Daniel Scott, UNC Georgia State, high-scoring game. Might want to contemplate taking the over on that one. 2 defenses that aren't very good, but a dangerous passing attack by UNC. Drake May has been phenomenal, and Georgia State has been phenomenal on the ground. So watch out for that. Big shout out to Dave again. I want to give a shout out to him again for another super chat, which sends us on the night. See, it sends us to over 100 on the night. So Dave, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you. All your support, and I love the comment there. It amazes me in NCAA and college football, and even more so in the NFL, how some teams don't realize special teams is critical. Belichick, Saban, Frank Beamer, not Shane, Frank Beamer, Marv Levy, coach of 4 straight Bills Super Bowl losses. Yeah, and we know one of those losses, especially, special teams was key, right? Norwood, yeah. Right. That hurt. It hurts me, man. I'm not even a Bills fan. It hurts me for you. Because 4 straight Super Bowl losses, that's just killer. It's just killer. But I agree with you, Dave. I agree. It is amazing how some teams don't realize how critical special teams is. You know, we just talked about that a few seconds ago with Brett Bielema, Illinois, how he basically doesn't believe in special teams. I don't need a coordinator solely dedicated to special teams. We don't need that. Yes, you do. Don't you wish, and Sam, I'm going to get to your question. Don't worry. I'm talking on that, but I'm going to get to it. Don't you wish, if you're South Carolina, that your special teams have been, or take it back. When you were South Carolina, special teams, that helped you block 2 punts. That helped you pull away against Georgia State. But you look at other teams that are LSU. Don't you think LSU wishes they had a good special teams? 2 muffed punts, the blocked PAT, which lost them the game, and then the blocked field goal earlier in the game. That's not just luck. That's not, he missed a block. That's special teams. That's coaching. And people don't seem to recognize, I think it's a forgotten aspect of the game. People focus offense, defense, that's it. They're specialists for a reason. They're pretty dang special. You need good kickers. You need good punters. And on those kicks and on those punts, you need people blocking for you. Otherwise, those things aren't going to matter. You need good coverage on kickoffs. You need good coverage on punts. Otherwise, you're going to lose a game. I mean, it's very, very important. And I agree with you, Dave. It's very unfortunate how there are a lot of coaches out there that just kind of throw that off. Oh, it's not that big a deal. Special teams can make or break an entire game. Special teams to me give you an equivalent like free throws in basketball. They're not necessarily givens. No field goal's a given. Free throws should be a given. But free throws can make or break it, guys. You miss 10 free throws at the line, you lose by 8. Those are gimmies. And you miss them. So, yeah, great point. And Dave, thank you so much again for that super chat. Big shout out to New Mexico Noah. I appreciate you and your support again. Definitely ready to talk about the Battle of I-10 tomorrow. We're going to be a man of our word, and we're going to bring that to you tomorrow along with the Bills and Rams. A little bit of talk about the opening of NFL season. So, again, Noah, thank you very, very much. I appreciate that so much. And looking forward to seeing it. If you don't get to join us at 8 tomorrow, I know it's kind of early, especially out west, definitely make sure to pop in on the live later once it's already been posted so you can hear what we have to say, because we're definitely going to be touching on it for sure. Where was Sam? He had a question about Stetson. I totally overlooked it. Damn, I'm sorry, Sam. Good Lord, I said thank you for the super chat. Didn't even do Question, my bad, man. Stetson Bennett, Heisman candidate. Yeah, isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? A guy who people were kind of dogging a little bit last year. People didn't even want him under center last year. Then leads into a national title. People were dying for JT Daniels. They were dying for somebody else to be there. Kirby, I guess, saw something in Stetson, had some weird loyalty to him, like Dabo has loyalty to DJ. And Stetson led him to a national title. And then last week against Oregon, it was like 368 yards or something like that. I mean, just torched Dan Lanning's defense, was on fire. If he continues to put up those type of numbers, which he very well could. I mean, the next two games, don't they play Samford this weekend? They play some crap team this weekend. And then next week they play South Carolina, who I haven't been very impressed with so far. We'll see how they fare against Arkansas. That'll be a good measuring stick for Shane Beamer's squad. But regardless, Georgia's going to win that game. But, I mean, if Stetson Bennett could possibly eclipses 1,000 passing yards in 3 games, which is very well doable and possible, put him up there. He might not be the sexiest name like Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud or Anthony Richardson now. But, yeah, I actually do think he could be a dark horse Heisman candidate. Man, I wish I'd put some money on that before the season started, because I don't think his odds are very good. But he keeps playing the way he is and helps Georgia win another natty. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Great question and great point, because it's possible. It really is possible. Again, major shout out to Dave, Sam, New Mexico, Noah. All of you guys for, again, contributing to the Super Chat. Hunter Shin, good to see you there. I know we're about to wrap things up tonight, but yeah, what a start to the Brent Pry era, man. I'm sorry. I really am. I thought about you when they lost. I really do. I really, looking at that game, Hunter, and I know you'll agree with me, I'm sure, Virginia Tech just beat themselves. I mean, you outgain a team by 95 yards. You practically outgain them by 100. They don't score their first offensive touchdown until there's 33 seconds left in the game, and you still lose. I mean, I don't think that was a matter of Old Dominion being better than Virginia Tech. I think this was a matter of Virginia Tech shooting themselves in the foot repeatedly. 5 turnovers, 4 picks by Grant Wells. You had the horrible snap on the field goal that resulted in a touchdown for Old Dominion, I think at the end of the first half there. So that plus the touchdown at the end, just ended up being the difference makers, obviously. I think it was a mixture of them shooting themselves in the foot and obviously jitters with a brand new coach. We knew this was going to be a work in progress. We knew the offense needed a lot of work. We thought maybe Grant Wells could come in there and surprise us. He didn't. So, yeah, it was just a rough showing. But, yeah. But I think Virginia Tech will bounce back. There's a reason they're the favorites against Boston College. Boston College losing to Rutgers, which was quite the shock. But, yeah. Yeah, horrible start to the Brent Pry era, but no need to overreact. You've lost to Old Dominion before, and you've kind of bounced back a little bit, so I wouldn't stress it too much. But an 0-2 start does not need to happen. They've got to find a way to beat Boston College, 100%. Last few questions here, guys. I want to hit Dave and Sam, and congratulations, Dave, on the Yankees. Another grand slam. They've kind of struggled a little bit. They had a very big lead on the division, kind of faltered a little bit, but still probably going to end up winning that division. And God, Aaron Judge on track to hit over 60 home runs this year. I mean, he's on fire. Definitely, I think baseball's fun when the Yankees are good again. The Yankees have been really solid. And my dream World Series, just full disclosure, I'm a Cardinals fan. I'm in Arkansas. St. Louis is right there. My whole family have always been Cardinal fans. So I'd love to see the Yankees and the Cardinals. I think those are the two teams that maybe have the most World Series, or maybe the Red Sox are in there too. But I think don't quote me on that. I know that, but yeah, I think the Yankees had the most, obviously. But would love to see a Yankees-Cardinals World Series. It's going to be a lot of fun. But we got Max in here as a Dodgers fan. Sam, of course, is a Braves fan. I know that was emotional for you, huge for you. I mean, Georgia wins the Natty. The Braves win the World Series. It's like, what the hell is going on? How is this happening? Which is pretty dang awesome. So, yeah, let's mix a little baseball into the Max hates him the most. Look at that. Max hates him the most. Real quick, though, Dave, again, FSU saw the adjustment LSU made from the blocked field goal and won the game. And that's a great point. And we know what that is, Dave? It's coaching. It's coaching. At the end of the day, it comes down to coaching. And Mike Norvell outcoached Brian Kelly, and they outcoached that special teams coordinator, I can tell you that. Sam, am I giving Wazoo any chance at Wisconsin? It's a pretty large spread. It is. I love Washington State. They started really slow against Idaho, mildly concerning, but I love Cam Ward. I love him and Eric Morris, the quarterback, offensive coordinator duo. That's a huge, huge boost for the Cougars. We didn't see much out of Wisconsin, you know how it's going to be. Strong defense, ground and pound. But if Washington State, for any team, if you can bottle up the run, if you can stop the Wisconsin run game, you're going to beat Wisconsin, because I have no faith in Graham Mertz to win the game through the air. And last week against Illinois State, he didn't have to. Why? Bad team, run game's carrying it for you, had a 96-yard rushing touchdown, had a 100-yard pick six, you're fine. Boom, that enough typically is enough for a team to win a game. But if Washington State's defense shows up, bottles up the run, forces Graham Mertz to throw, it'll be a lot closer than people think. But additionally, though, to play devil's advocate, Wisconsin is so good defensively that Cam Ward and Jake Dicker, they're going to have to find some sort of way to, exploit that defense. It's so hard to move the ball against the Badgers. It's so hard to get anything going against them. Ward's going to light up a lot of teams this year. I just don't know if Wisconsin's going to be one of them. And then talk is Pitt. What did I think of Keaton Slovis? I thought he was phenomenal. 16 for 24 for 308. That's extremely impressive for a first start with a new team. He's going to have to play like that, probably play a little bit better. I mean, he didn't play bad at all. Did a great job taking care of the football, was delivering when needed. But he's going to have to put up those type of numbers again if they want to have a chance against Tennessee, for sure. Definitely, I need that. And with that, guys, I think we'll wrap it up. Like I said, I had to run, unfortunately, today at 8:30, which is right at 8:30 here, Central Time. Had to run. Got a good group of old friends that I'm doing a fantasy football draft with, believe it or not. So got to go find myself a good team, 8-man league. So I got to make sure I go find. I got the second pick. Any advice before we go? And who should we take? I've already got a couple guys. PPR league. If he's still on the board, I think I'm going to jump on Cooper Kupp for sure. If he's gone, I get the second pick. So I'm thinking maybe Justin Jefferson over with the Vikings. Jamar Chase maybe. PPR league, I feel like you got to jump on a wide receiver now instead of a running back. I used to draft running backs first, but I'm definitely leaning with the game changing, with the way it works now, and obviously with PPR, got to jump on those receptions. So probably going to jump on one of the wide receivers, Cooper Kupp or Justin Jefferson, whoever's there, going to jump on them. I don't really think there's a better option at the wide receiver position right now when it comes to that type of league. So Eckler, maybe. Yeah, that's a good point. Eckler, Jonathan Taylor is typically going first from what I've seen. Heck of a year with the Colts. I'd love him as my RB1, but I don't know how it's going to I don't know if I'll take him that early. It's one of those things where I feel like I need a wide receiver, and I feel like Jonathan Taylor might have a bit of a letdown this year. Curious to see how that duo is with Matt Ryan and him. So it's going to be fun to look at. Deebo Samuel, for sure. I feel like he'll be on the board later on. It's a snake draft, so it'll snake back to me. I feel like I can get him in that second round. So, all good points. I love it. Eli Arbeza coming at the last second. Eli, it's been so long, but good to see you, man. Good to see you. I appreciate you and all your support, and make sure to pop in for another live stream here soon. But with that, guys, I appreciate all of you. Thank you guys for another amazing Gridiron Expert live stream here on Wednesday night. We'll be back here tomorrow, 8 a.m. So, less than 12 hours. We'll be right back here with another live stream. It'll be a little shorter. Obviously, those morning ones kind of are, but we'll be talking about the Bills and the Rams. Tomorrow kicks off the NFL season. We'll have the Battle of I-10 for our man Noah out at New Mexico State. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And obviously, any other questions and comments and things you guys want to bring up, because we are, again, just 2 days now from the start of week 2 of the college football season. So let's get ready. Let's gear up. We'll have that live stream at 8 a.m. and then prediction videos, 2 tomorrow, 1 on Friday, and then games all day on Saturday. So thank you guys again so much for all your support. Thank you for popping in. As Max said, stay safe. Continue to like, comment, subscribe. You know the drill. The road to 10K, guys. We're so close. So close. Spread the word. Help us reach that 10,000 mark before the start of week 2. But my man Sam, Dave, Noah, Max, Eli, Hunter, and everybody else that was here tonight. I'm going through, make sure I don't forget anybody. Ryan Mel, thank you again for that super chat. Austin, Salt of the Earth, Anthony James, Flobe, all of you guys, we appreciate you. Sarah Brown, we'll give you a shout out too. Go Bulldogs. I appreciate all of you guys so much. Have a great rest of your night. And we'll see you tomorrow morning right here on the